The sun bled orange across the cracked earth of the Arizona Badlands, painting the distant mesas in fire. A lone girl stood at the edge of the dry wash, her black braids whipping like war banners in the wind. She was 16, maybe 17, and the weight of every year pressed into the dust on her bare feet. Her name was Nisoni, which meant beautiful in the Dignidad tongue, but no one had called her that in a long while. She clutched a cracked tin cup, the only thing she'd carried out of the trading post after the clerk laughed her away. No money, no water, they said. She had turned without a word, pride hotter than thirst. Behind her, the trading post screen door slapped shut. Boots crunched gravel. A shadow fell across her path, tall, lean, sun-browned. The stranger wore a sweat-stained Stetson and a shirt the color of desert clay. His eyes were the pale blue of a winter sky, the kind that made Apaches wary. He carried no rifle, only a canteen slung across his chest like a bandolier. Nisoni didn't look up. She knew the script. White men offered help the way coyotes offered friendship, right before the bite. She kept walking, the cup rattling against her teeth. Evening, miss, the stranger said. His voice was low, sanded by years of wind and whiskey. Water's free out here if you know where to look. She stopped but didn't turn. I know where to look. I also know what it costs. A pause. Then the soft clink of metal on metal. The stranger unscrewed his canteen and held it out. No cost tonight. Nisoni's throat ached like a fist. She took the canteen with both hands, drank until the world tilted, then handed it back. Water ran down her chin and spotted the dust dark. The stranger watched her, not smiling, not frowning. "Name is Caleb," he said. "Rode in from the San Carlos Trail." "You headed somewhere?" "Somewhere else," she answered. He nodded as if that made perfect sense. "Mind if I walk with you a spell?" "Nick's coming, and the wash floods quick." She should have said no. Instead she shrugged. They walked. The sky darkened to bruised purple, stars pricking through like needle holes in velvet. Crickets started their dry chorus. Nisoni's stomach growled loud enough to shame her. Caleb reached into his saddlebag without breaking stride and pulled out a strip of jerky wrapped in oilcloth. "Elk," he said. "Shot it myself. You look like you could use the iron." She took it. The meat was tough, salty, perfect. They chewed in silence until the jerky was gone and the moon rose fat and white. At the fork where the wash split, Caleb stopped. "I turn west here," he said. "You." Nisoni pointed east, toward the black silhouette of the reservation fence. "Home." He studied her face in the moonlight. "You always walk alone?" "Always. Must get lonely." The word hung between them like smoke. Nisoni felt it settle in her chest, heavy as river stones. She thought of her Moter Sampi Hogan, the cousins who they left for the city, the boys at the chapter house who called her half-breed because her father had been Mexican, not Apache. She thought of the mirror in the trading post window, her sharp cheekbones, her too-wide mouth, the scar across her eyebrow from the time she fell chasing a goat. She thought of every reflection that had ever looked back and said, "You are not enough." "Nobody wants lonely," she said, voice cracking like thin ice. "Nobody wants me." Caleb removed his hat, ran a hand through hair the color of wheat stubble. "That's a damn lie," he said gently. "But I reckon you've heard the truth so seldom it sounds like one." Nisoni laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You don't know me, cowboy." "No," he admitted. "But I know thirst. I know hunger. I know what it's like to ride 3 days with nothing but your own thoughts for company. And I know a girl who just drank my water and didn't spit in my face deserves better than being forgotten." He stepped closer. The moon lit the planes of his face, crops fit, a nose broken once and set crooked, a mouth that looked like it smiled easy but hadn't in a while. He smelled of horse and pine smoke and something indefinably kind. Nisoni's heart hammered against her ribs. "What do you want?" she whispered. "Nothing you ain't willing to give." He tilted his head. "But if it's all the same, I'd like to give you something first." Before she could step back, he bent, not in a bow, not in mockery, but slow and deliberate, the way a man approaches a skittish colt. His hand rose, calloused fingers brushing a braid from her cheek. Thin, soft as the brush of eagle feathers, he pressed his lips to her forehead. It was not a lover's kiss. It was not pity. It was a benediction, a sealing of a promise older than either of them. Nisoni felt the warmth spread from her brow to her toes, chasing out the chill of every cruel word she ever swallowed. When he straightened, his eyes shone wet. There, he said, "Boss rough. Now somebody has." Nisoni stood frozen, the ghost of his mouth burning like a brand. Tears she hadn't cried in years slid hot down her cheeks. Caleb settled his hat back on. "You walk proud now, Nisoni. The world's big, but it ain't bigger than you." He turned and melted into the darkness, boots silent on the sand. She listened until the crunch of gravel faded, until the net folded itself around her like a blanket. She never saw him again. But the next morning, Nisoni returned to the trading post. The clerk opened his mouth to sneer, then saw her eyes. They were no longer the eyes of a girl who begged. She laid a silver dollar on the counter, smooth as a river stone. "Where'd you get that?" the clerk demanded. "Earned it," she said. It was true. They spent the night gathering pinyon nuts by moonlight, enough to trade with the old women at the chapter house. The dollar was the first of many. Years passed like pages in a book the wind kept turning. Nisoni learned to read at the mission school, her finger tracing letters under the patient moon's lamp. She learned to ride, to rope, to mend fences with wire and will. She learned that kindness was not weakness, it was the sharpest blade in the desert. At 20, she bought a parcel of land no one wanted, 40 acres of rock and cactus bordering the dry wash. She built a hogan with her own hands, the door facing east. She planted corn in the spring, watched it struggle, then thrive when she sang the old songs her grandmother taught her. She took in children whose parents had vanished into cities or bottles, taught them to read, to ride, to hold their heads high when the world tried to press them low. Travelers spoke of the Apache woman with the trading post of her own now, the one who gave water free to anyone who asked, who kept a jar of jerky on the counter and a smile that could melt winter. They said if you were lucky, on certain moonlit nights, you could see her standing at the edge of the wash, braids whipping in the wind, looking toward the west as if waiting for a rider who never came. One evening, a boy no older than she'd been that first night stumbled into her yard, lips cracked, eyes wild. It carried a tin cup, empty. Nisoni filled it from the rain barrel, watched him drink, then handed him elk jerky wrapped in oilcloth. "What's your name?" she asked. "Don't matter," he muttered. "It matters to me." She crouched so their eyes were level. "You're not alone tonight." The boy's chin trembled. "Nobody ever." Nejoni touched a finger to his forehead, right where the cool boy's lips had once rested. "Somebody has now." She felt the circle close, the promise kept. Outside, the desert wind carried the scent of creosote and possibility. Inside the hogan, a lamp burned steady, pushing back the dark. And somewhere, on a trail no map remembered, a cowboy with winter skies smiled at the stars, knowing the water they given had become a river. Word count, 3,000.